So dear students, now we will be dealing with the process of sublimation and then condensation, freezing and deposition. These are the different processes which we will be dealing with today, and that is the conclusion of this chapter. Okay. Now what is sublimation? It is the process in which a substance changes from solid to gaseous state directly without passing through the liquid state. So we know that actually the change in the state of matter happens like this: solid to liquid, then liquid to gaseous. So in this regard, what is sublimation is directly a substance, if it changes from solid to gaseous form, it is called a sublimation without passing through the state of liquid form. When a solid substance changes into gaseous form, it is called a sublimation. So it is written, although most of the solids on heating first changes into liquid state, yet there are examples of solids like iodine, camphor, dry ice, naphthalene, ammonium chloride, etc., which on heating change into gaseous state directly without first changing into liquid state. Suppose we have to separate copper powder from naphthalene powder, then sublimation can be of help. So if copper powder and naphthalene powder is mixed and you want to separate it, then what do you have to do? You have to just place it in open, or we just heat them. Then this naphthalene powder will get sublimated into gaseous form and you will get a copper powder. As per particle model of matter, there are some solids where interparticle attractive forces are comparatively weak. We said that in solids, interparticle attractive force is very much high, but in some solids what happens? The interparticle attractive force is very low. So on heating, their particles gain energy to become free to move rapidly in all directions like gases. So on heating, what happens? They get extra energy such that they can move not only like liquids, they can move like gases, particles in gases, how they are moving. That way this solid particles can move into that level of energy they reach. So what happens? Then easily they change from solid to gaseous form. For example, it is written, what is dry ice? Dry ice, note this, okay. Dry ice is the name given to solid carbon dioxide. What is dry ice? It is nothing but solid carbon dioxide, because it looks like ice but changes into gas without first changing into liquid state. Why it is called dry ice? Because it looks like ice, and it changes from, so it is called dry ice, but it changes from solid to gaseous form without changing into liquid. So that is why it is called a dry ice. So now demonstrate the process of sublimation. So how particles are or solids are changing into gaseous form, that we are explaining. What are the materials required? A gas funnel, china dish, naphthalene ball, cotton, burner, tripod stand and wire gauge. So put naphthalene balls in the beaker, china dish. Invert the gas tunnel over the china dish. A glass tunnel. This one. No, this is a gas tunnel. It is a dish, and on top of this, what happens? We have inverted a gas funnel, and then plug the steam of the funnel with a cotton. So here you have just closed the opening of the gas funnel with a cotton. So now slowly heat the china dish and observe. So you are going to put naphthalene balls in the dish, and then you put a glass funnel inverted and the opening you closed with a cotton, and then you are burning it. And as temperature increases, naphthalene changes directly into gaseous state. Naphthalene does sublimes on heating. So there is no change of this solid into liquids, but it directly changes into gaseous form. So sublimation of naphthalene starts even at room temperature. That is why it is used as moth repellent balls to protect clothes from insects. So in your winter clothes, and or when you keep, your mamas may be putting what? Naphthalene balls in the petty and keeping it, and when you take it out after 6 months also, you will not see the balls, but it will not be affected by any kind of insects. The next process is condensation. So condensation is a process of changing gaseous state of a substance into liquid state. Gaseous into liquid state is called a condensation. It is a process of changing gaseous state of a substance into liquid state. Windscreen and door glasses of car becomes foggy in winter due to condensation of water vapors in air. So that you know. So when water vapors, what happens on the glass and all, in the early morning you can see, if you wash the glasses of your car vehicles, you will be seeing this mist attached on the glass, no, small water droplets, like, no. So that is how, when this gaseous air is which falls on the glass gets condensed into water vapors. As particle model of matter, particles of the liquid lose their energy on cooling. When you increase temperature, it gains energy, and when it is cooled down, it loses its energy. Interparticle attractive forces become stronger. So in gas, when it is cooled, what happens? It loses its energy, and the interparticle attractive force becomes stronger, and they become the particles, and that bring the particles closer. When the force of attraction is more, the particles will be staying closer. Particles then collected together to appear as tiny drops of liquid. So those small tiny particles attract to each other, seems to be like a drops of liquid. On further cooling, these drops merge, thus the gaseous state is converted into liquid state. So when it is cool, so when again this small tiny gaseous particles is cooled down, and interparticle attractive force is increasing, so then they are coming together and staying together, and when further it is cooled, what happens? It look like liquid form. So that is what is the theory behind the condensation. Heat is given out to the surroundings by the substance during condensation. So what happens? Heat is given out to the surroundings. Now third one is freezing. Do you know what it is? Freezing means it is a process in which liquid state of a substance is changed into solid state on cooling. So when we remove temperature, when we remove heat energy from the substance, liquid substance, what happens? It becomes solid. So that is called a freezing. For example, when water is cooled below 0 degrees Celsius, that is to minus 4 degrees Celsius, it becomes ice. The temperature is called a freezing point of water. Below 0 degree Celsius, what is? It is called a freezing point of water. So what is freezing point? It is the temperature at which a liquid solidifies at standard atmospheric pressure. It is the temperature. What is the freezing point? Freezing point is the temperature at which the liquid solidified at a standard atmospheric pressure. Solidification means becoming solid. At a temperature, at a particular temperature, the liquid becomes solid. That temperature is called a freezing point. As particle model of matter, particles of the liquid can slide and slip over the other particles while remaining in their volume. When you see these particles in this liquid is sliding over each other. Sliding and moving over each other. On cooling, energy of particle reduces. While cooling, what happens? Energy reduces, and thus it increases the interparticle attractive forces and brings the particle closer and closer. When we cool down the liquid, what happens? It loses energy, and thus interparticle attractive forces increases, and then the particles becomes closer and closer. On further cooling, the attractive force wins over the kinetic energy of the particles. And again, if you cool down, what happens? The particles has kinetic energy. This attractive force become more than the kinetic energy of the particles, and so the particle will not be able to move. thus make the particles enjoy fixed mean positions while they keep on vibrating. So like the solid state, we have said, they will be vibrating, not moving, just vibrating in their mean position. In this way liquid changes into solid. So what happens when cooled down, the cooling down takes place in a liquid, it takes away energy from. Kinetic energy is reduced and force of attraction between the particles increases, and it causes the particles to stay closer without any movement. Freezing is a process reverse of melting. So melting means what happens, solid changes into liquid on heating. So this freezing is liquid changes into solid when cooling takes place. Freezing is a process reverse of melting. Heat energy is given out during freezing. So heat is pushed out when freezing takes place. Some amount of heat energy is absorbed during the melting for the same mass of the same substance. So some amount of energy is taken by the particle during melting. Okay. So while melting we have to give energy, and while freezing what happens, energy is given out from the substance. So now you see interesting facts. Wax contracts on freezing but water expands on freezing. This you have to. Wax contracts on freezing but water expands on freezing. That is an interesting fact. You can keep it in mind. The another one is deposition. It is the process of change of vapor directly on cooling into solid without first changing into liquid state. So vapor on cooling what happens, directly becomes solid without passing through the gaseous form. Liquid form. Okay. It is a process of a change of vapor directly on cooling into solid without first changing it into solid state. So when water in a solid is changes, what happens? Solid, liquid and gas. This is the three. First is solid, then it changes to liquid, then into vapor. So what in deposition what happens? Vapor in vice versa means vapor, liquid and then solid. Here you see, here the middle part, liquid part is missing. Vapor is directly changing into solid while cooling is called a deposition. This process is in sublimation, we said, without changing into liquid form, a solid on heating changes into vapor. That is what is sublimation. This liquid part is missing there. It is on the reverse of, this deposition is the reverse of sublimation. The process is reverse of sublimation. Substance like ammonium chloride, dry ice, naphthalene, camphor, iodine, etc. sublime on heating. That is, they get converted into vapors directly without undergoing the liquid state. But on cooling, the vapors directly solidify without going into liquid state. So when these substances are cooled down, what happens? They changes into solid form without passing through the liquid state. Now demonstrate the process of deposition. So this is the process of sublimation and this is for the process of deposition. So what are the materials required? Glass funnel, china dish, cotton, tripod stand, banner, burner, wire gauge and ammonium chloride. Put ammonium chloride powder in china dish and invert the glass funnel and put the cotton plug. And then what happens? Start heating. And what happens? Ammonium chloride. This you heat it with the then observation. Vapors of ammonium chloride are seen in the funnel. These vapors on rising gets cooled and deposited on the walls of the funnel. So when it is cooled, so now you will be seeing vapors. This in the gaseous form, it is ammonium chloride. So what happens when it is cooled down? This will be the small particles of ammonium chloride will be deposited on the walls of this funnel. So now there are some word meaning in this. First one is molecular theory. Theory treating samples of matter as a large number of small particles are called molecular theory. This kinetic means anything that is related to motion. Then lattice, what is lattice? Arrangement of atoms or molecules within a crystal is called a lattice. Arrangement of atoms or molecules within a crystal. Now next one is phase. State, for example. So it is, what is a phase? First, gaseous phase or solid, that is only just another word for state. Matter can exist in solid, liquid and gaseous phase. So normally we say matter can exist in solid, liquid and gaseous states. Instead of that we are using here phase. Okay, now the question answers will be here. I will just give you the question answers in the school app, and then after that you'll have to submit the question written answers in the you have to write it on your copies, and do rest of the things I will give you in the voice message. Okay.